our conscious mind is only 10%, and that is the part that gets born into a young born baby, and then needs to remember everything again.
Welcome back to the Pyramids Podcast. I'm your host, David Kahn, and I'm joined today by a very interesting fellow. This man is a conscious evolutionist. He is a master of human design. He does body work, and he also leads something at the Pyramids called Awakening the Heart Ceremony. So I'd love to welcome today Martijn Vroemen to the show. How are you doing, Martijn?
Amazing.
Yes.
Another beautiful day in paradise.
And
right?
you seem to make the most of the beautiful days by getting a good tan.
Yeah,
You spend lots of time on the beach, don't you?
I do. I love surfing.
Yeah.
Surfing is what brought me to Bali first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in 2007. So that's already 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, surfing made me come here first. Yeah.
Right. Is that before you've discovered a heartfelt connection to your spirituality, or
Yes,
is that
totally. Yeah.
Wow.
I was living a very ordinary duality life
Oh, cool.
before.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you woke up and, from what I can see, went pretty deep.
Yeah. I don't like to go shallow. I like to go deep.
Yeah. And that's in all areas of life, right?
Yeah. Totally. I do like to surf very shallow waves too.
Oh.
Because they tend to be more scary. There's less people.
So you're going deep. You're going deep with the shallow waves, essentially. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I really love to hear, because everybody here has their own connection with spirituality. All the facilitators and people that practice at the Pyramids achieve. But you actually went to a modern day mystery school.
Yes.
How did you come into contact with that, and what was that experience like? Like, I'm sure people are probably leaning in right now, being like, "Oh, he's been to a mystery school. What is that?"
Mystery school, yeah. It's something that has to do with mysticism. It's not something that is into elitism or an exclusivity. It is a school for everyone, and it is a school above all of that. Also, a school that would say there's not one way to truth, but there's multiple ways to truth. So they would never say, this is the only school you need to go to, which is something that you a lot of the times.
It's not a fundamentalist mystery school.
Yeah, it's not a guru kind of school, It's like the school where you're being taught to become your own guru, to stand in your own sovereignty and to make up your own mind. And how I got into it was kind of like I was all of a sudden, when I was in 2014, attracting women into my life who were already a little bit ahead of me, so to speak. And I was already meditating by that time and doing some spiritual things here and there. But then I started dating a girl whose mom was already a medium.
Mm.
And she started already looking into her glass ball and telling me that, this is probably where you're going to go to. And this is probably what's going to be interesting for you. So through her, I got into reading a few books that went into the Awakening the Heart mystery school of the School of Remembering, which is the mystery school that tells us that we're not doing anything new here. Everything that we're doing now, we've already done before. And this life is all about remembering everything that we've already done before. So the Awakening the Heart that I teach is also something that we've already done before. It's not the first time that we do this. Our soul already knows, but the mental body, the intellect, kind of like it's a little new for. And that's kind of like how I got into it. So there was other people coming into my path that kind of like opened my curiosity to learning more about these schools. And it came from like the spontaneity, the pull of my own soul that said like, yes, this is who I want to be. This is where I want to go to, basically. Yeah.
I have a question for you on that. So that part that you say is we've been here before, we've done this before, and then you said like the intellect, the emotions, like that part doesn't remember. So it almost sounds like there's parts of us that we're aware of that are just in this lifetime, like just like the brain's memories of things that have happened to this life. But then there's another part of us that we might not necessarily be aware of in everyday life, but that allows us to tap into this much deeper memory bank of like maybe other forms of existence that
Yeah,
happen.
totally. So if you dive into consciousness and you would dive into the map of consciousness, for instance, of Dr. David Hawkins, which was a spiritual psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
We have to call him a spiritual psychiatrist because most psychiatrists they're only looking into the mind, basically. What you come to conclude is that our conscious mind is only 10%, and that is the part that you know gets born into a young born baby and then needs to remember everything again. But in the subconscious, we hold all of the memories that we have already collected from the past into the subconscious. And the subconscious is held in the inner child, or the inner child holds on to the subconscious. And the inner child is the part inside of ourselves that keeps coming back around. So you could kind of like say that the polarities of feminine and masculine energy are the polarities that every lifetime we get a new masculine and we get a new feminine, and they need to remember those things. But the memory bank is actually already in the inner child who holds on to the subconscious.
Wow, that's a really misleading name.
Yeah.
It's like we've given the key
Yeah.
to the kid,
Yeah.
and the kid holds the key to all the doors of
Yeah.
knowledge at the library.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so
Yeah.
and it's interesting though because I think a lot of people talk about how powerful inner child work is.
Mhm.
So I'm not trying to dismiss it here. I'm just being a bit playful with the
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
But it sounds like this is actually a key passageway into a much more deeper, richer, and wider experience of life.
Yes, totally. Yeah, the inner child or the subconscious is also the only way we are able to connect into our higher selves. We cannot connect into our higher selves from the intellect. We cannot connect into the Akashic records or the universal library that holds records of every living being in the universe from the intellect. We have to do that through connecting into what you already said, had the childlikeness in each and every one of us. That is the inner child, and through the inner child, we are able to make those things happen.
Yeah, I mean, the intellect is just like a fancy filing cabinet.
Yeah.
Right? It's like things that have happened to us in the past. It's not even that fast. We think it's fast, but these other parts of us are much faster, more present.
Yeah.
The intellect is slow and it can't be present. So if we put that in charge, it just takes things it's seen in the past that it thinks worked and tries to project them into the future.
Yeah.
Right? Versus actually accessing the invention of now, which you're saying happens through the heart.
Exactly. Yeah. The heart holds the subconscious. And there's even science has proven this, is that a lady who needed a new heart got a donor heart. And the donor heart that she received, all of a sudden, after receiving the new heart, she got all these nightmares. And through these nightmares, she was kind of like reliving what the person went through that donored the heart to her. And in these visions that she had throughout her nightmare, she basically could make a full description of how the murderer of the woman who donated the heart to her looked like. And they were able to catch him, basically. And through the fact that she donored the heart to someone that eventually was able to completely see how the murderer of the woman who basically gave the heart to this person looked like.
Imagine
That is the
told
memory
these
that
stories.
we are holding inside of the heart.
Yeah.
The heart is connected to the subconscious emotional body. We have two emotional bodies. We have one emotional body that's connected to the ego, mind, and we have one that is connected to the subconscious, and that one keeps coming back around and around, even in this example, for instance.
Yeah, I was just saying, imagine the news told stories like that. That's not the only story I've heard. I've heard lots of cool stories.
Yeah.
Of things that really stretch our understanding of reality, especially for normal everyday people who live in a world that does appear somewhat predictable.
Yeah.
Right? But what you're describing is stepping into a much more vivid and powerful and meaningful world, really, because it has this memory, this longer journey that we're on, in context. It's not just like taking this life and bumbling around in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons in a lot of countries why we're in this situation is because, like, we're constantly switching political parties all the time, and it's one party fighting against the next, and that can be kind of like one's experience of life. Is they're pulled in one direction, they're pulled in another direction. They're young and they're worried about getting old, then they're hit middle age and they're still worrying about getting old, and they're just kind of moving around, directionless,
Yeah.
versus actually resting back in to that place of us that knows where it's going,
Yeah.
and needs our time in the body to help it accelerate in that direction, essentially. A question I have for you, though, that I'm very intrigued about this: how does somebody like get started when, if they hear something like this and like, yes, this is what I want? What are some ways that people can get started with this awakening the heart and the inner child within?
It's again, follow your own spontaneity. What spontaneity is truth. Truth is spontaneity. So whatever comes to you spontaneously from your body, that is the soul speaking to you. And for me, it was like these people came into my life, and I was curious, and I wanted to try out a session with this person. So I booked a session, and the session was like, wow, amazing. I want to do this again. So after 2 weeks, I went again. And after 3 sessions, my life force energy was starting to flow so much more that before I had all this like stiffness in my whole body, a lot of contraction, a lot of resistance, a lot of fear, emotions trapped in the body. And then all of a sudden, after 3 weeks, without being able to sit in full lotus position, all of a sudden I could sit in full lotus position. And all of a sudden I started having visions in my meditations, and you sort of like the kundalini awakening symptoms coming up, and that kind of like gradually then makes you more curious to keep evolving and to keep learning and growing more, because through our growth, abundance will come to us in abundance. Yeah. So yeah, and then through the experiencing those sessions, I later on was like, okay, now I feel ready to also go more into these mystery schools to become a practitioner, to become a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of, life at some point whispered in your ear, handed you a spontaneous invitation, and you said, "That seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to do what I normally do, but I'm actually going to roll with this." And then it kind of unfolded, sort of like a flower when it's ready to blossom at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, after the spontaneous idea, I'm gonna do this, my mind would always be a little bit like, are you really gonna do this? And then I was determined enough to kind of like stick with my first, kind of like gut feeling, or my first intuitive, instinctual feeling of knowing without knowing that just knows.
Yeah.
To continue with that. Yeah.
Now, I know you're also into human design.
Yes.
And the cool thing about human design is that you can kind of unravel your own inner authority to make the place in which you make decisions from. Is that true?
True. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And so, do you find that when you do a human design reading for somebody, or you teach them about their human design, and they start living according to that authority, that they start making better decisions that might be more in alignment with this spontaneous flow of life?
Yeah, totally. Human design is a very beautiful tool, definitely kind of like as a foundation for our self development journey, um, because it gives you very easy to follow steps of listening to your body in making decisions in the correct way, so you can illuminate making decisions in the incorrect way, so to speak. And then when you are on that journey and you would then do the awakening of the heart, then the true, like, meaningful center within our body becomes the authority. I know you're a reflector, for instance. If you would constantly only be depending on your environment to make correct decisions with, it takes much more time for you to make decisions on your own. While once we have done the deconditioning inside of ourselves and we have a more like a higher self connection in the body, then the higher self becomes the outer authority that you are actually able to connect with inside of yourself. If you want, if you understand
So
what I
it's like
mean.
you
That
kind of have a dialogue or narration going with your
yes,
higher self that
yes,
can help you to make decisions
yes,
that supersede sort of the foundation of human design, for
yes,
instance. So
exactly.
what you're saying is human design is a great tool for somebody who might not already have that connection established.
Mm-hmm.
And that way they have sort of a map or a chart for how to live life a little bit more in alignment with their nature. But then at some point, we establish this new form of authority which
Yeah,
resides in the heart.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So what we have to go through is like on this journey of awakening, ascension, into higher levels of consciousness. We need kind of like always like a rough like a period of 7 years from the moment that we started to work on ourselves to the moment that we kind of like have established this higher self connection.
Mm-hmm.
And in that 7 years, we decondition ourselves, and through that deconditioning of being curious, being open minded, look towards different modalities, keep doing the work inside of ourselves, then we can get to the place that we have this outer authority of our higher self that we can connect to inside of ourselves. And in that 7 year period of working on ourselves, it's beautiful that we have tools like, for instance, human design, but it cannot go without the inner child work. It cannot go without regular emotional release with breath work, for instance. All those modalities all together, they're beautiful, and should be used as like an alchemy kind of way of yeah, releasing evolution so that we can be the love, the light, the truth that we are.
Wow.
Yeah,
So I know you offer the opening the heart ceremony or
yeah,
awakening the heart
yeah.
ceremony here at Pyramids of Chi. Do you incorporate many different modalities into that session?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. Because the original workshop was something that would take 4 days, and you would have a first day that would go into surrendering the mind, and you would have some like sort of like a counseling day that somebody would be constantly talking to your mind, letting your mind more and more surrender. And then it would be a day that you would go into emotional healing and inner child healing. And then on the third day you will go into the heart, and the fourth day you will do the other things that are in the ceremony. And I was like, who who's gonna go into a 4 day workshop just about the heart, while all of the things that are inside of it are also things that you can, for instance, book separately here at the Pyramids of Chi. So my idea was like, let's make the ceremony compact, all of the information that people need for them to go through the whole process of awakening the enlightened or the illuminated heart. And then if it works for them in the ceremony, I have people where I can literally see the human light body, the three-dimensional Star of David that we carry around our bodies, that they start spinning at the speed of light, and that means that it's activated for them, and it's organically activated. So it means it's forever activated until we leave the body, and when we return back, then there's also a tool for it for you to be able to remember it without forgetting about it anymore. But so the ceremony now basically has everything inside that people need to know. But if they won't be able to completely go through everything because their mind is too busy still, then they can do other work. They can do the sound healings here, the beyond sound, the inner child work, all those kind of things, or the human design workshop, or the alchemy and bodywork workshop. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which are again all tools that people could use to further release uh, memories from the body, because the more we release, the less thoughts we have.
Yeah.
The more consciously we evolve, the less thoughts we have. And the less thoughts we have, the more easier it is to quiet the mind and open the heart. So,
Right.
yeah.
So would you say that the people coming to your awakening the heart ceremony, they should already have some baseline of relaxation in their lives and be able to at least work at keeping that mind quiet?
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah. I would say the awakening of the heart ceremony, with everything that is mentioned that are in it, with the benefits, is definitely attracting people who have at least done some meditation before.
Hmm.
You know, um, that is there definitely a small requirement, I would say.
Yeah.
But through the fact that we give people a blindfold or an eye pillow, it's already much easier to let them drop in.
Hmm.
It's just to go through the whole process of rewiring the human logical system for the heart to become the dial that turns the radio of the body to making the correct choices in life. That might sometimes for people be a little bit too much.
Hmm.
So that's why also once they have done the whole awakening the heart ceremony, they always receive an email from me with a link to my website where they get the recording, all of the presentation, for them to keep using the information even after they have done the awakening the heart ceremony. So I have people coming, twice, three times, just because they think it's a really beautiful experience. But if you would like to continue it through the digital platform, they can just keep using that also.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're a man of many talents. It's interesting because at the end of the day, everybody I talk to with this podcast, we're talking about the same thing, but we each have our own unique pathway of getting there, right?
Yeah.
It's everybody wants to return to that place of their own feeling of wholeness and unity with life, that place where things are easy and abundant, and that thing that reconnects them with their greater why or purpose.
Yeah.
However, your path is very interesting. It sounds there's a it's very specific in a way, but it seems to I get this. I haven't done the awakening of the heart ceremony, but it seems very skillful and intentional in the way that you've crafted it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because to really come to a place of wholeness, harmony, the awakening the heart for me has shown me that that was actually something that is possible. Through my own experience of awakening the illuminated heart inside of myself, all of a sudden you don't have to put in effort anymore.
Yeah.
As a practitioner, the universe is basically working for me. I'm not doing my marketing anymore because the universe is doing my marketing. And I get an abundance of clients
Mm-hmm.
come to me, and I sometimes have these people, contacting me. Hey, would you like me to help you with your marketing? Because I think we could do this and this and this, and you'll get more people. I'm like, give me a break. I'm already abundant enough
Yeah.
with the amount of clients that I receive now. I wouldn't even know what to do with more. So it's
Yeah.
like that's kind of like yeah, how I feel now that the universe is working for me, or I am working for the universe, both ways.
Yeah.
um is I get an abundance of clients anyway, and I don't really need the the marketing of the duality world, because it's still kind of a little bit like that, to even make me overload with even more clients, because it's enough in the way it is.
Yeah, abundance doesn't need more all the time, right?
No.
It's like you actually want to find that sweet spot,
Yeah.
right? Because if you did take more, it would lead to not a feeling of abundance. There'd be some element of time scarcity or some element of like, it wouldn't be good for your other systems.
Yeah.
So by doing what you're doing, it feels like you remain in a flow and you remain in balance
Yes.
with that approach. But it's also good to see too that if people are listening and they're thinking like, oh, like I want to find my greatness, I want to get out there and help people in some way. It's like when they do that with the authenticity of themselves and really finding their heart connection, and they let the universe sort of drive the bus for them, that it's not as complicated and an uphill battle as it looks in that world of duality and marketing. And I have a marketing background myself, and I know,
Me too.
marketing is ticking a bunch of boxes a lot of the time,
Yes,
and
totally.
it's not very inspiring for people, and it feels like a grind. It can feel overwhelming,
Yeah.
or they can step into a completely new frequency bandwidth with it, like what you're talking about, which is involves really kind of coming in and working from that place where the universe is on your team.
Yes. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it any other way. Yeah. Yeah. Because I used to be in marketing
Yeah.
until 2013,
Yeah.
and then my life only started changing. Like because I was feeling like this is not the way I want to live anymore, and this is not the way I want to do it anymore, and what are the alternative ways of doing it? And yeah, as soon as I asked, like, show me some alternative possibilities, then the possibilities just came to me, and that's just following that curiosity to put your energy on that what brings you joy, happiness,
Yeah.
so that we go to bed happy and wake up smiling. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not all happiness and smiles on a spiritual path, is it?
No, of course, of course.
Of course, we do have to examine things and look at things that come up along the way, because oftentimes when we're operating out of that lower self, we're bracing and we're shutting down so many parts within us, right? So when we walk a path, it means more of us has to show up, and it means unlocking parts within our body that might be uncomfortable, that might be even painful, and might be have contains things that are scary.
Yeah.
But we just need to let them out and give them some space, really.
Exactly. Yeah. But that is also why I mentioned that kind of like period of 7 years. Like if I look to myself in those first 7 years of my spiritual path journey, I did a lot of work on myself. I was very eager to let it all out, let it all go, and of course, yeah, I've experienced unpleasant things also along that way. Um, but more recently, if yeah, try not to give duality energy. If you can still be discerning and say something's not okay with me, something is not in my alignment or my integrity. I wouldn't choose it. But as soon as we start choosing it to make it, those people are bad, wrong, or negative, then our whole vibration has changed to the judgment that we have towards whatever is coming towards us. Well, when we are holding it more in an acceptance and neutrality and unconditional love, because that's only available if we are not blaming or making anyone bad or negative, then we can still be in unconditional love and
Yeah.
holding acceptance and holding neutrality.
And I mean, then whatever's coming up isn't like a painful story that gets drawn out, but it becomes more of a strong sensation that we're moving through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's important to mention for people, because, I meet a lot of people that can get stuck on their spiritual journey when their mind associates a judgment or a story to a feeling.
yeah.
It's like it really kind of makes it stagnant and entrenched until we lose the story and we're able to look at that energy within us in a non-judgmental way.
Yeah, exactly. That's the game plan of duality, is to even get those who are on the spiritual path into worrying,
Mm-hmm.
or doubting. And when we are worrying, when we are doubting, we're adding our own fear of failure on that what we're having a doubt or a worry about. So if we are worried about our child falling over, then that worry is going to manifest because we're adding the fear of failure onto the highest potential future outcome of that person or the project that we are worrying or doubting about. And that is only going to then have an effect on the whole collective, because eventually we are all one. We're one consciousness.
Yeah.
So we have to stop there and say, like, okay, everything that is happening in this reality at this now moment is happening with a purpose to eventually bring everything back to truth, back to light, back to unity, in a way that we sometimes think that we know it all and we know the resolution, but there's actually a higher mind that is actually organizing everything above us, and therefore certain things maybe have to happen that don't feel okay or in integrity. Um, and to have that discernment is very important, because without that, we would be very much into unconditional love, but also have no healthy boundaries at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned it's like when there's no doubt or worry about our highest timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like you're plugging into that future self that you want to meet or create. And that, it's like, I am this. It's like your consciousness is already there, but then the physical reality has to kind of shift. And
Yeah.
along the way, it might involve a couple bus stops that aren't necessarily something we would have thought initially or something that we would have preferred, but we just kind of keep going and realizing, oh yeah, this is just coming up along the way because there is a higher divine plan, and it's not me at the center of the universe controlling everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm working in coherence with
Yes.
sort of the greater reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the heart coherence.
The heart yes.
The heart coherence. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the heart is just sort of basically in tune with that, whereas the mind is sort of like, how do I stay alive here?
Yeah. We have two choices. If you are about to witness an earthquake, like we have maybe witnessed in the downfall of Atlantis, you have two options. You can respond in fear and try to run away, and then still get to the end of the lifetime, and then you take all that fear with you to the other side. And the other way of choosing could also be to just sit down in meditation and let it all happen. And then when you would pass on to the next stage of reality, you will not take all that fear with you to your next life, to your next plane. And this is a choice that we are currently also, every moment we have that choice. We have that choice to either, choose for the worry, the doubt, or when we recognize the worry, the doubt, or the fear, can we transmute it from fear into peace, into love.
I think that's a very important thing to remember during these times, because there's so many things out there for people that can get them into a state of fear or a state of distraction and cause them to lose sight of what's important right now, because we're in incredible times.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. And there's a lot of things shifting, and there's a lot of things coming up that people look like and they're like, oh, this is terrifying, or they can get into a bit of a doomsday complex. But what you just said there about, like, when the earthquake's happening, it's like you can try to run from it, which you'll probably fail, or
Yeah.
you can just basically make peace with it and do what you need to do.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm not saying that everyone's going to die or anything here.
No.
Yeah.
I'm also not saying that the Atlantis falling is going to repeat itself, because
Right.
that's not really in our destiny this time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like a point of choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's how we move.
I know from my own past life regressions that if you would succumb to the fear in passing on to the next dimensional experience, you will take that fear with you. And if you are into past life regression sessions, you will also go through the process. What was the illusion of holding on to that fear? Can you transmute it from the negativity of fear towards the positivity of love or peace?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Wow, we've gone quite deep with all this, and I think at the end of the day, is there something that you want to leave the listeners with? Because we've really covered a lot of ground here, and I feel like you do it with such precision, really laying it out in an easy way to follow. So, like, is there anything right now you feel called to share before we?
Yeah, I think the last thing that I would like to share would be something around the benefits of the awakening of the illuminated heart. Um, what we can really see in the world, and it's constantly being proven to us also, is that when we can keep creating from the mind, there will always be positive and negative connected to whatever we create with the mind, because the mind lives in duality. There's no way out of it, because we have a left brain that is mental and we have a right brain that is emotional. Um, and due to that, everything that we create with the mind has positive and negative connected to it. Doesn't matter what you create. But when we create from within the unity, the singularity of the heart, everything that you create from this space of the sacred space inside of the heart has no such thing as duality connected to it. There's only positivity coming out. If you are, let's say, into manufacturing electric cars these days, which is something that's a very hot topic, much oil, much fuel, much exhaust is being used to make these cars. The benefit that we might have would be that the car doesn't have as much pollution coming out on the roads. But if you look at the process of making them and look at the process what we do after the lifetime of the car, the battery goes down. Where does the battery go? Not a landfill. Like we can't eternally recycle things. We can't keep eternally renewing plastic or any of the synthetic materials. But people like Tesla, and I'm not meaning Tesla cars because that's Elon Musk, but he used the name
Nikola
Tesla,
Tesla, yeah.
but I mean Nikola Tesla. He invented how you could make energy information move from one point to another point without using synthetic electric cables, but with the energy of the universe. And that is the hard drives of the energy of the universe. So when people start living inside of their heart, they know that what is available around them, what would be, having a positive impact, what would maybe have a negative impact. Um, and the second of all is also that once you are in your sacred space, you have to be connected to the heart of the earth. You cannot be in your sacred space without being connected to the heart of the earth. If you're connected to the heart of the earth, you're also connected to nature more harmoniously. And when you are connected to the heart of the earth, you also need to be connected to the heart of the sun, because otherwise you will not be allowed to enter the sacred space of the heart. And with this vibration of the Holy Trinity between you, divine child, and divine father and divine mother, this vibration that enters your spirit is always going to keep you safe. Of course, we there might be coming a time that the body has to die off because it can't go on for 400 years. We would be trapped in a very old suit.
Right.
But when you are in that state, you're immortal, basically. And immortality would mean that due to that connection, you have constantly been giving an imprint of your memory to the soul of the earth. And if you decide that this lifetime is enough and you would leave the body, and you decide later on to come back, what this immortality or this ascended master, what people call ascended masters, means is that you've ascended. And then when you want to come back to the earth, you don't forget everything and have to go on this whole painful journey of remembering everything. But as soon as you come back into a body on earth, through your memory being intact in the soul of the earth, you don't have to forget and remember because you will remember everything immediately.
Wow.
So
it's a powerful note to leave people with.
yeah.
So if anybody's watching this and interested, we're going to put a link to the Awakening of the Heart ceremony in the description below. Are you also on Instagram, Mart?
I'm also on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what's your handle for people to find if they wanted to follow you there?
Awaken with Martijn.
Perfect.
Yes.
As easy as that. Thank you so much for this interview. And this time, you've blown my heart wide open.
Let's do that now with a short 10-minute meditation.
Let's do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the bonus is you guys are going to get a short little 10-minute meditation here to actually experience this and actually get a felt sense of what Martijn's been talking about.
Yes. So, short version. So, let's prepare ourselves to meditate. Now, for awakening your heart meditations, it's always best to use a blindfold or an eye pillow. The ones that you get here at the Pyramids of Chi are very, very useful for this. But if you're sitting straight up, you may want to use a blindfold or a mindfold so that your eyes and your third eye are not being distracted by any forms of light, which carries information. And that information keeps your mind more busy, like the monkey mind can be busy. And then you start connecting yourself to the breathing, the breath. And with the breathing, the breath, you breathe rhythmically in the same length of time in as out. With the breathing, you Connect to your sensory perceptions, your feelings, your sensing, your knowing, your hearing, your smelling, your tasting. And you start to become like a child. You open up your eyes of childlike innocence. And with those childlike eyes of innocence, you move yourself to a place in nature that is most dear to your heart. Now, you can find and pick any place in nature that you love and that is most dear to your heart. And once you have found that place in nature that is most dear to your heart, you imagine yourself as if you are currently, presently, in that place in nature that is most dear to your heart. You feel it or see it as if it's real. With your feet standing in the grass, the soil, with the birds flying through the sky into the trees, the bush. There might be other animals in your place in nature, like roosters, butterflies, dragonflies, bees that fly into the flowers. You take a moment to open up your heart for the love you have for this place in nature that is most dear to your heart. You allow your love, your gratitude to grow for your place in nature. You allow your love, your gratitude to grow for the living spirit of the earth who created your place in nature that is most dear to your heart. You allow your love, your gratitude to grow for your body, your highest creation in this physical existence that allows you to experience this reality in such awe, wonder, and detail. And when your love grows so strong, you can take some of your love from your heart, place it in a small sphere, small circle, so that your love is contained. And on the next exhalation, you send that ball of light, love, truth from your heart to the heart of the earth below your body. And then you wait. You wait for Earth to send her love back to you, which she always does, for she loves you, for you are her child. Where usually on the inhale, you can feel the love from Earth return to you. You start creating a circular connection of giving and receiving. You give on the exhale, and you receive on the inhalation. And then you ask your body to put the breathing between you and Earth on automatic, trusting that your body's own intelligence will do so. So, without losing your connection to Earth, you're able to bring your childlike imagination to standing in front of a clear night sky. You imagine yourself standing in front of a clear night sky with the energy of the moon, the other planets in the Milky Way, the other star clusters in our part of the galaxy, the zodiac signs. You allow your heart to open, your gratitude to grow for all of the love, light, warmth, and evolution you have received from Father Son into this now moment. And you allow your heart to open, your love, your gratitude to grow for all of the love, light, warmth, and evolution you will be receiving from Father Son into the future. You let your love grow so strong that your heart starts overflowing with love, with gratitude. And you can take some of that love from your heart, place it in a small sphere, small circle. So your love is contained. And on the next exhalation, you send that bowl of love, light, truth from your heart to the heart of the sun, the heart of the universe above your body. And then you wait. You wait for Father Sun, the universe, to send his love back to you, which he always does, for he loves you, for you are his child. Where usually on the inhale, you can feel the love from the sun, the universe, return to you. And again, you start creating a circular connection of giving and receiving. You give on the exhale and you receive on the inhale. Asking your body to put the breathing between you and Father Sun on automatic. Trusting your own body's intelligence to do so. So without losing your connection to as above, so below, so below, so above, we can go on a little journey of as within, so without, so without, so within. As the universe, so the soul, so the soul, so the universe. And you collect all of your consciousness in the center of your head, in the third eye, in between your left and your right brain, where you take a moment to feel the heart skull all around with your awareness. From feeling the heart skull all around, you start moving your awareness down towards your throat, where in the throat, you take a moment to feel the soft throat all around. You take a moment to feel the difference between carrying your awareness with the heart skull all around versus carrying your awareness with the soft throat all around. And from feeling the soft throat all around, you start moving your awareness down towards your physical heart. And once you feel the heart in front of your awareness, you move into the heart through the membrane of your heart. Where once you are inside of the heart, you surrender into the knowing without knowing that just knows of your intuition. Nothing to do, nothing to organize. Simply trusting, surrendering, and letting go. From that place of trusting, surrendering, and letting go, you meditate in the heart, holding the intention that your spirit is going to move inside your heart. And when that movement stops, you will simply be in the sacred space of your own heart. On the next inhale, you start to move. And on the exhale, you trust, surrender, and let go. And when that movement stops, you've made it into the sacred space. The first thing you do there is you ask for there to be light. And when you ask for there to be light, you allow the light to come to you in whatever way it comes to you. You can ask for more light, more vibration of light, more, more. And every time you ask for more, the light will become more like a dimmer switch, slowly becoming more. You can give yourself a silent hum inside your heart for a little while. And with that silent hum, you create a vibration in the sacred space of your heart for you to remember your way back to this space whenever you wish to return. And then you meditate in the vibration of light in your own sacred space. while holding the intention that your spirit is going to move inside your heart one more time. And when that movement stops, you will simply be in the tiny, most sacred space of your heart. On the next inhale, you start to move. And on the exhale, you trust, surrender, and let go. And when that movement stops, usually the vibration goes up with another octave. You will know as in the tiny, most sacred space of your heart, love is the light. And love is God, God is love. Simply be with that light of God in your own heart. And allow the light of truth that resides in each and every one of us to strengthen your electromagnetic field, to strengthen your auric field, to strengthen your boundaries, to strengthen your connection to the oneness, to the unity, to the singularity of your own heart. Where from this unity, from this oneness, from this singularity point, you can dream into the reality without any negativity connected to whatever you dream into the reality. You can ask your own soul, what is it that my soul wants, needs, or desires? Or the answer might be that your soul wants to feel wealthy, and that wealth will come to you in abundance through your growth. In other words, your soul just wants you to keep learning and growing and knowing how, and better not than knowing how not to do certain things. And through that learning and growing, you will come to abundance, wealth. You can keep meditating and living inside of your heart. Create from that space of light, love, truth, ever evolving into higher levels of light, love, and truth.
Thank you, Martijn.
Welcome.